Morning, beloveds. Just out of bed. Had my cup of tea. Fed the cats. Done the necessary, as we say here in India. Here we go again. Let's see what gibberish we have this morning. I would like to try and explain something, which is, again, not maybe possible to explain. Once somebody matures and basically finds they come to the place within the self, within themselves, where they know themselves. This is like a 180-degree shift, and one can no longer be the same. One can no longer play the same old patterns and the same old games. It might seem very similar, you might speak similarly, you might walk similarly, but you will find that suddenly you go to say something or you go to do something and you can no longer do it or say it in that particular way. It has a different, there's a different energy to it. When this thing happens, it is basically that you are the seed within you, which is there. Let's use this word enlightenment, which is not a word I particularly enjoy, because people have all these sort of ideas about what is enlightenment. Oh my God, I don't know, people have all sorts of ideas. And of course there's no way that they could ever be an enlightened person. And there's all these connotations and expectations, and in my experience, the reality of this situation, which happened now, I don't know, maybe 16 years ago, which was something I was not even looking for. I mean, I was looking to be happy. That's what I wanted. I wanted to be happy. So really, when this shift happened from a space of everything falling away, a space of total, actually, sadness and desperation, and everything slowly falling away. All the things that I was holding, I just suddenly, what was the reason for it, what was the point in it? There was suddenly this questioning of, what is the point in life? Really, there's no point in life. There's, my father had just died and he committed suicide. So it was desperately a sad time. You see, this is still felt. Now, this was the greatest gift, the greatest sadness, and the greatest let go in my life. And it brought me to the brink of, what am I here for? I can understand why he did it. Eventually, everybody will come. Everybody will go. I will do this group, I will do that group, I will have this relationship, I will not have this relationship, I will, everything will come and go. And it brought it right up in front of my face, which was, in a way, the gift of my father, the gift my father gave, in a way, with his actions. His actions were his actions, and I feel very sorry that he's not here. But I also respect very clearly that it was what he needed to do, and that he couldn't manage to do it differently. That was his right. So this situation brought me to a point of to my knees. I've never been anyway, breathe. So basically, this thing happened, and there was like a 180-degree turn. Not in that moment, but through that, I really didn't really want to continue in life. You know, there were, what am I doing here? There's no reason to be here. There was such deep sadness. So, and with my beloved master here, I mean, really, I knew inside myself that there was, I had walked this point to this point, and to commit suicide or to leave one, it would hurt my family too much who had just gone through that. So I couldn't do that to the people that I cared about. And I had understood that I would have to come back and start all over again and take another body, because this is my understanding or my feeling about this. And then I would have to start all over again as a baby, and then I would have to grow, and then I would have to learn lessons, and of course I would be quite an advanced being coming into the body, but I would still have to find parents that were at a level that could reincarnate me, which is not necessarily so easy. And so here I am. So I'm in this point where everything is fallen apart. I have never been so sad. I have never cried like I cried. And I couldn't commit suicide, because that would have really hurt the people that I still loved that were around. And I knew that I would need to come back and do it all over again. So it was like, okay, what do I do? So in that moment, I only had the moment. I just had to come back to the moment. And I had to walk each moment. I had to get myself out of bed in the morning. I had to have my tears, and I had to go, okay, Suchira, now it's time to move, have a shower. I was in the Osho meditation resort then, and I was meditating. That was the only thing. I went in and I listened to Osho for morning discourse. I went to Vipassana. I went walking in the Nulla Park, or the Osho Tirth Park as it's called now. And I would basically, I stayed with myself. I stayed with the trees, I stayed with the birds. I allowed myself to stay with the sadness, but not in it. I allowed it to come at times, and then I would get on with my day. But I could not see in that point, what was it about? As I say, everything was going to come and go. In that moment, I understood that. And there was a great, what's the point in it? There is no reason for it. There's no reason to be here. Eventually we're all going to die. You know, what is it? And all these things will come and go, and, you know, nothing ever stays, everything changes. But there was a deep sadness with that. And I have never danced like I've danced. As deep as I was in the depth of sadness, as high as I could be. I would get up and go to Samadhi in the morning and sit silently in Osho's, well, they call it Chantazu now, but I know it as Osho's Samadhi. I would get up in the early morning and go and do that. So a routine happened, but basically it was a routine so simple and just so with myself, and it just brought me so back to the moment, just the moment, walking the moment, this tiny moment, and then this next tiny moment. And how you get through it, you don't know how you're going to get through it, and you do, you just do. And when I was in White Robe in the evening, I would be flying. I would be wanting to sit there in the beginning, and I was sitting there quietly, and then the music would come on, and I'd go, no, I'm going to stay sitting here. I'm going to stay sitting here in this sadness. And I got this message in my head: get up and dance. Don't you sit there. Who it was, I don't know. And I got up and I danced. And I danced. And then I sat and listened to my beloved Master. So I had never been so down, and I had never been so high. I don't know, a friend of mine once said to me, actually, if you know Sam, Sufi Sam, he said to me once, he said, my God, Suchira, in White Robe, you do realize you're off the floor, you're flying. And I said, Sam, what are you doing watching me? You should be dancing. And we had a little laugh about it. So I don't know, but there was something in that great depth of sadness. There was an incredible beauty also, and such deep spaces when one is not holding, when everything sort of drops away. So there is a 180-degree turn that comes. And when this came, I was not expecting it. I was not asking for it. I was not looking for it. I had no idea what this was. It was not in my background. My original background is Christian. My original background is Quaker from my grandmother, but my original background is Christian, so I had no desire, I had no idea about this thing. And this shift happened. I won't go into details. It happened. It happened over 3 days. That one day, it was just, I was no longer the same. I was no longer the same. And I was still here in the body, and Suchira was still here. This was still here. This personality was still here. It could still move and walk and do things. Well, once it got back in the body after this experience. From that day, I mean, in that point, it was really interesting because my mind, now obviously I'm a verbal, as you can see, I'm quite capable of being verbal, so this is a way it came for me. It did many things, but this is how it came. So basically, eventually there was this question, what is this? What happened? And the answer came back, you got enlightened. And there was this voice inside me again that my mind went, don't be so stupid, you can't get enlightened, you're just you're the most fucked up person on the planet, you're just ordinary, how can you even think that this has happened to you? This is only happening to really special people and really amazing people. And I went, okay. And then the emotional body also did the same. From the emotional, it was like, don't be silly, you can't be enlightened, you're just, who do you think you are? You're just ordinary, you're not some person that gets enlightened. This is not possible. And then I went way, and I had to just calm everything down. I had to calm this down. I had to calm this down, the emotional idea, because it all had its ideas. And then I just went to this space of meditation, which I know. I went to this space, which I know, which we all have had an experience of, or most people have. They don't visit it enough. They don't go back to it. They don't go back to the essence of it. Anyway, enough, but it's there in you. Everybody has the seed of enlightenment. Otherwise, how can you see or feel somebody that you feel is an enlightened person or a wise person? How can you feel them it is your enlightened space within you that recognizes them in what it may not be what they speak, but it's the resonance of their words, it's the space that they hold. That's what resonates, and that resonates in the space within you. So that is your enlightened space that is there, that is saying, oh, something recognizes this, right? So don't ever think you don't have it. You have it. It may be asleep, but it's there in everybody. Anyway, so we know this space. So I just stopped and I went back and I went, okay, just go back to this space. And then I very quietly inside myself asked myself a question: what happened? The answer came back: you got enlightened. And in that moment I said, okay, I don't know what this is. I don't understand this. I feel this space, but I don't know what this is. So I'm just going to accept that this happened. And I am going to find out, what is this for me? What does this mean? I didn't want everybody else's opinion about it. I didn't want to listen to all, oh, it's this and that and that. This amazing experience was so big. It was so much energy that to get in this small body it felt like it would explode. It felt like blowing a balloon, and if you put one more breath in it, the whole thing will smash open, because this body is running at a different vibrational rate. It has a different, it's like you're plugged into the high socket and it's like, woo! And it's like, whoa, too much. And so much that actually it's painful. It's like, whoa. And so much coming in, and you don't even know, and you don't even need to know what it is. And in that, for me, in that beginning space, there was no way to express it apart from, okay, within my head there was this question. But beyond that, there was no way to get this experiencing what happened, to try and get it into this small head, and then from this head to try and get it through this mouth to speak it was not possible. So basically I just said, I didn't say to anybody, there was no way that I could put it in words. Within myself there was no way in the beginning. So I was just accepting that this had happened, and I said, okay, let's just be with this. So from then on, I was just walking and I was experimenting and I was just being. And there were many different things, experiences that happened to the body. I would joke with myself, and the biggest laugh was the most amazing thing that was, this Suchira was so ordinary. Everything became so simple. So ordinary. I suddenly understood when Osho said he was an ordinary man. Because suddenly I didn't need to be anybody. I didn't need to be anybody for anybody else. I didn't need to be a therapist. I didn't need to be a group leader. I didn't need to change anybody. I was just so ordinary. And in that, there was such a deep relaxation of not having to be anybody. So the first thing was a big joke and a laugh to see that you become nobody. And things and ways that you have worked in the past just drop away. But they don't always drop away together. Sometimes, for me, the shift happens, and then I would joke with myself and go, oh, things are dropping away. Or it was like the body and the being, it was like they weren't necessarily in sync to begin with. And so I would be laughing at myself and at seeing certain things that were just dropping away from this being, that I could no longer, games I could no longer play, ways of being that I could no longer use, strategies that I had had which did not work anymore. And this has been a maturing process. There is, or was, or whatever, a 180-degree turn, 2001, 1st of December. After White Robe, in the evening in Buddha Hall. This is a date. And from then I have been unfolding this situation and what this is. And living it. And living it not like other people live it, but living it with my whole authenticity, my whole totality. Being with it for what it was, not for anything else. And to realize that it is ordinary. And it evolves. It matures. I understood and heard Osho say something that there, in the first 7 years after he realized his enlightenment, that he basically stayed with himself and didn't really speak very much, that he was understanding how it worked. My master has left so many beautiful gifts to help us understand how we move with everything. He has left a library of understanding. Often I will understand something and then I may read something from him, just a sentence, and I go, now there he's talking about exactly what I've understood. That's where I've come to myself, and he's just saying, yes, that's right. So he is the most amazing master, and he's the most amazing gift for me. Still, I am him, he is me. And there is no separation. I am this body and this pot called Suchira, and he lived in a body and a pot called Osho. But in the center of the pot, actually we are one. Suddenly you are one. You are not separate. The beloved is you, and you are the beloved. So I didn't know I was going to talk about this morning. I was going to talk about something else. But so there is this space, and there is this situation that happens, and there is this opening, and then there is this maturing as I kept very quiet with it in the first years of this space. I was very much with it, and still with the playing of how does this work, and what is this, and being really real with it, not being in anybody else's ideal about it. And what is this to be in this space, in the body, having walked to this point in the body of a woman? There wasn't at that time many women that I knew, and I really didn't want anybody else's opinion on it. I didn't even want I have a beautiful enlightened friend who had also held the space for me, who had let me realize that this could be possible. And he was 12 years enlightened before he ever realized that he was enlightened, because it wasn't what everybody was telling him it was. And he was also one of my greatest, it is still one of my greatest friends and greatest, the greatest me. His name was Newton, is Newton, but he's now Ian Wolferington. He's in Glastonbury with his beloved there. And he is now, he obviously is a satsang teacher, he does his things, he is a most beautiful man. But he has also taught me that showed me that it is really ordinary to be in this space, and that it is possible for anybody. So he was my blessing to let me know that it could be ordinary, and I could still be the fucked up Suchira or the whatever. I could still have feelings. There could, as you can see, there can be a sadness that comes in the moment, or there can be a happiness that comes in the moment. And these will all come and they will go, and they are all accepted. And the main thing about this walking, as I would say, one of the main things is, one, you are ordinary. One, you suddenly just can be yourself. And some will like that, and some will not like that. And the difference is that when you are in this place, in the beginning, on some level, you have to maybe keep it a little bit with you, because, or only speak it with those people that are either in the space or mature enough to understand you, because you don't want anybody interfering with you. Even the enlightened ones, you don't want interfering with you, because you have to find out, what is this for me? What is this for me? Because we are human beings in a physical body still. We have stayed in the body after this experience. So we still have the habits of this body which are still held in this cellular structure. Up until this time, we have walked as a human being. We have built strategies, we have done things. So this body is still holding that memory. I call it the personality. Some people call it the ego. I don't like that word. I think it makes such a bad thing. Oh, this ego is such a bad, horrible thing. No, it's not a bad, horrible thing. It's just your personality that you have walked with to this point. And it has helped you. It has helped you to survive and helped you to learn. Now, from this point, there is going to be an unfolding of that. As Osho said, the first 7 years he was understanding how it worked. So this is sort of what I was understanding, how it worked, and how it worked for me. For me in this body, because I'm still a me in this body, and I'm still a structure, and I'm still have this personality. And in the beginning, there was this personality that wanted to be in charge, and then there was this new space that was originally fighting with the personality. So I was fighting with myself, and questioning a lot, and seeing a lot of where I had been, how I'd been working, and how it didn't really taste right anymore, or didn't really feel right, or didn't sit right. So then, in the beginning, there was this space of surviving and understanding this experience. Like, how do I work now? What is my understanding now? What is my truth now? Oh, I can't do that now. Or and so also bits started dropping away. And in the beginning, it was like, oh, how am I going to? How do I survive if I don't do it that way? If I don't play that game? If I don't? And there was a lot of tests that came, a lot of things come right up in front of your face, which for me, it was to look at and see, where are you from, where are you now standing in this space when this test comes. So I call them tests that come. To just see, from this being space, where do you see? What is from this space? Where do you see? So it was years of walking through tests, and it was intense, especially as you can no longer play the games with people as well. So suddenly people start dropping away, things like and you can no longer play the games. There is a maturing that happens. Now I would say I know even less how it works. I always said that what was so funny, the words that came when people said, what's happened? I say, they say, who are you? And I say, I'm nobody. Because I became nobody. And there was such a beauty in that nobodiness. Of course, I was still in the structure of a Suchira and the body of a Suchira, and I speak like a Suchira, and I look like a Suchira. As this unfolds and matures, the nobody became more, and the not knowing became. And then what I have found, that in each moment I don't know, and then in each moment I know. I am very clear. I see more. I see the games of people. I see the games going on. I see all of this. But I choose not to be identified with it. Because you would go mad. You can't. It would drive you mad. You can't see. You don't become less sensitive. You become more sensitive. the doors, the windows. There are no doors, there are no windows. You are wide open. And the refining of this, the maturing of this, is that one comes to this continually more and more. And the understanding that, the main understanding is that you are ordinary. The main understanding is that there is not an attachment to the good or the bad, the happy or the sad. When happiness is there, one enjoys it. When sadness is there, one also accepts that and walks through that, because it is there for a reason. It never comes for no reason. Everything that comes into our life is there is a reason from existence. There is always a gift in it. And sometimes it is absolutely not comfortable and not what you want, and you go, I don't want that, and that hurts, and oh shit, I don't want to look at that. But you have to be ready to accept or to see all, and just realize that in this space here, inside the pot, there is nothing disturbed. And yes, the pot will get hit, the pot will get things, the pot will be loved, the pot will be hugged, all these things, and you can have all those things. But the identification with holding onto these things is not relevant, is not necessary. I have also found that for me, how this particular thing works through this Suchira is, we're all unique, we're all different. Each person that is in this space is not the same. You never come to it from the same space, as I understand. We all have our own unique way, and we will all express it in a different way. So then, and we may be for other people, we may guide other people, we may never guide other people. In the beginning, it's best to just stay with yourself and let it all sort of mature and find out, go through your own tests. Let this mature, let yourself sort of settle into, I'm still in a body and I'm still here, and how does this work for me? I have seen that for me, it seems to be that part of my job is to let people see that it is ordinary to be in this space called enlightenment. I don't like the word because it's just like one click. It's just one click. And to see that it is possible for anybody. If it's possible for a fuckwit like me, who is really mucked up and, still sometimes maybe looks it, it's possible for anybody. Saying that, once somebody is in this space, they are working from a totally different level than you can understand if you have not yet experienced or acknowledged or reached this space. There is a difference. I do not see it as higher or lower. I see it as a road. But please understand that those who have experienced this space and walked this space are further along the road. And they are further along the road, and there are less fellow travelers. And they can see you. They can see from a level which you will not understand. And you cannot put the same boundaries on them that you would on a person before this experience. Often when I am speaking to people that sometimes choose to give me the great gift of allowing me to share with them, and they are open and they trust me enough, because I'm going to say things they're not going to like. I'm not here to support the dark. I'm here to support the light. And I'm a halogen spotlight. So basically I'm going to put light on things that the people are most hiding. What is most hidden? What is most hidden in with you, which you don't want to see, which is the most deepest thing. That is my job. And I may not even know what I'm putting the light on, because that's not my job. The light doesn't have to know what the light is shining on. The light just shines and it exposes things. And we work in very strange ways. So I'm going to tell you, we know nothing. And if we had to, we're not therapists. We're not trying to analyze you. We're not trying to even change you. You're perfect as you are. If you want to stay as you are, that's totally okay. But if you come to us and you are crying and saying, I don't like my life, I want to change, I want to grow, then be aware that if the light comes on you and you give permission for the light, you may not like what you see, because you're going to have to look at the bits of you that you are hiding. We will often look totally wrong in what we are doing, because we won't come at you in a way that we even understand. We will come at a way that's going to shake you, that's going to suddenly shock you and make you, ooh! And you're suddenly going to have to look and see what you are hiding. We're not going to do it in a necessarily a nicey way. I mean, we might be the most loving, because that is the way that's going to shock you the most. We don't know what we're doing. We're just doing it. It is a spontaneous happening from us, and it comes from a place of clarity. It comes from a place of absolute cleanness, and it is known when it is clean. And in the beginning for me, was also known when I still had my personality attached to something. And if so, I was aware of that. I was aware when this Suchira personality was playing an old game. Now, 16 years down the track, I don't even know that. I know it doesn't happen. If I'm doing something, I know that it is something for me to do from existence. It is given to me. And sometimes it is not comfortable, because sometimes it's a fucking great hit I'm doing something. Sometimes I'm saying something to somebody and there is such a diamond in it, and I don't care whether they get it or not, and I will look the most fucked up. I will look the most wrong. And I know when I'm clear. And I don't care to have to know what it is for the other person. The other person will either see it or not see it. In these days, I keep myself more back. Unless somebody really gives me permission to shine the light, I am the light. I walk around. I'm just who I am. I don't bother. I'm very ordinary. I'm just doing my life, and just life is unfolding. I'm still in this body. And I don't care. And I don't identify. And I see. And I don't even judge, but I see. There's no judgment. Anything anybody's done, I've done probably in my past. I've done 100%. How can I see it if I haven't done it? So why would I judge? I am not judging, but I am seeing. And that is my job. It's the only reason I'm on the planet. It's the only reason I'm here. I am not here. I do not need to be here. But as I said, there's nothing taking me out, so I'm here. And in each moment, I walk it. And now I see the wind through the trees. And now I hear the river. And sometimes when I work with people, and I am tough, I am not an easy one. Maybe other people are more easy, they are more gentle in their way. Me, I'm for those people that are really fed up with themselves. And I have no idea how I work, and I have no idea how it will come. And so people have to trust me if they come under an umbrella with me. And they can leave at any time they want. But please be aware that somebody who is in the space is not doing anything to hurt you. If a situation is coming up, there is a reason for it. Even for us people that are in the space, we are no longer learning lessons necessarily. We are always learning, we are always refining. This body-mind is also refining. This space is also refining itself. But existence gives us lessons and gives us understandings, and that is processed through us. And when I come together with my fellow friends who are also in the space, and we're all different and unique, the beauty of that is that it's such a deep relaxation, because it's just like, oh my God, I don't have to explain it. Somebody's not all in the story, and they're not going off, and they're not judging, and they're, there's just a difference. And in saying that, when we come together, we still have situations, and movies that come up will give us situations where we are refining this body-mind system and what is still in it. If you think it's tough for you, just imagine what it's like for us, because we're not allowed to get away with anything. No bullshit, because we get a direct hit from existence if we are not being clear and clean. So, my beloveds, please, if you meet somebody who is in this space, please don't try and put your rules and regulations on them. They are coming from a totally different space. They are giving you a totally different gift. If you can get it, you will be blessed, because existence is talking through them. And if your pride and your ego or your whatever, your personality cannot get it, that's also okay. When you are mature enough, you'll suddenly go, oh my God, this is exactly what she was saying, and I never understood it. Wow, okay. And if you're lucky enough, you might go back to that person and apologize, because you've probably been incredibly unkind. And we are in this space, but we are the most sensitive of beings. We are the most strong, and we are also the most vulnerable, because we do not really fit or belong on this planet anymore, and we are still here in a body, walking it. So if you meet somebody that is in this space, if you can take the light that they have, that is very blessing. If you can't, don't fucking beat them up. They are coming from a place you cannot understand. And they are the most kind and gentle of beings, even if they might be kicking your ass. They are not in the story of it. It may look like they're in the story of it, because that, well, as I've understood as being a woman in the body, this is how I am. Can be in the movie with you. I don't belong really in the movie. I'm just acting a part that is there to show you something, and show you and see, for you to look and see. An opportunity to look and see, how am I reacting to this? What is it hitting in me? And you'll turn around and you'll say, oh look, but you're in it too. And you can't understand that the enlightened one is just playing a role, and eventually they will pull back. And it doesn't mean that if you hit their pot, it doesn't hurt them. If you vomit on them, it doesn't mean that they are not covered in vomit. But ultimately their pot is totally empty and clear, and they just go and wash the vomit off, or they just, if you bruised them and hurt them, then the bruise heals and it goes away. But there is a difference in the space. So be aware if you have found somebody, and they will continue to, if you shift and you suddenly see something, they will be open to you, because they are incredibly kind and caring human beings. They are incredibly generous, and they are incredibly forgiving. So, I don't know if this has a transmission. It has come from an experience that has been happening. Existence gave me an experience, and a reason to put this out. They are stories. They are, each moment is new. I don't know if this helps anybody. I'm sure it must be for some reason here. Otherwise existence wouldn't have had me want to say it. Wouldn't have come through this Suchira. I wish you all well. As the Tibetans say, I think a kind thought for all the world. May all the world be happy and blessed. Everybody. Everybody. including the most damaged of us. Everybody. Because if we are healed, we can no longer do what is not right. Not because it's not right, but we can no longer do it. And that is the only way that this planet will mature. Through maturing yourself, and through kindness, and through not being superior and making people inferior. To realize that sometimes people are further along on this road, and if you can find somebody who's further along the road and they can put some light for you, feel blessed. They are a blessing. Don't kick them. Don't be unkind. They don't really care. Eventually it's not their business. But there is a sadness when you see somebody of maturity, because it's the mature ones that often are the ones that kick, because they think they know, and they don't realize with whom they are communicating, because they're so used to being the ones who are mature. And the most mature people who have not gone through yet are the ones that actually need the guidance usually of an enlightened person. Because the enlightened person is the only one that can catch them in their games. The most subtle stuff that they are hiding. So be aware. Don't miss. And if you miss, it's also okay. There's no mistakes. Everything is as it needs to be. Everything is a blessing from existence. I wish you a beautiful day. This is the longest video I've ever done. Okay, but it's quite something to try and say this and to put this out. Okay, from me, Suchira, pot, here now in the body. I send you my love.